1462. From Transylvania arose a Romanian knight of the Sacred Order of the Dragon, known as Dracula, the Prince of Darkness, Vlad the Impaler, or better known as Dracula. I have no idea how we've made it this far into the show and we have yet to cover a Dracula movie. Every decade since the birth of film has had Dracula movies, ranging from scary to funny to artsy to downright fucking goofy. Sometimes as horror fans, we are blessed when a serious filmmaker who doesn't generally make horror films delves into the genre. Stanley Kubrick, Steven Spielberg, John Landis, there are many great examples to choose from. But the film we are discussing today is a prime example and by far the most serious Dracula movie in my opinion. That, of course, is Francis Ford Coppola's 1992 horror epic, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Not enough can be said for how well Stoker's novel was beautifully adapted in this film. Many times scenes follow verbatim to the book. The acting, the makeup, the score, everything is perfect. It's no wonder why Coppola's film opened up at #1 at the box office, and it earned over $215 million. That's over 5 times its budget. And oh yeah, it also won 3 Academy Awards. We didn't deserve this movie, but we got it. And now that we're here in October, I can't wait to discuss it with you. Boys and girls, I hope you're ready, because this one is big. Without any further introduction, here is our take on Bram Stoker's Dracula. Boom! Welcome to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey, and back again for another week, clapping them cheeks, Mr. Ozark Mark. Ozark Mark, what's happening down there, brother? The leaves are falling, it's October, pumpkins are out. And we happen to be talking about one of the most legendary, iconic, I'm not going to say the most, but if you did, I wouldn't say that's a lie, most iconic characters within horror, Dracula.
Bleh.
It's me.
Dracula. I love Dracula. Every time somebody says Dracula, I go, bleh. But yes, it's Halloween time. I love the fact last week, if you're a current listener, if you're up to date, we talked about some witches. We're into Halloween season. You can't have Halloween season without the little vampires. Real vampires. None of these love story, falling in love, tight jacket, makeup wearing, pale, gelled hair looking vampires. No, we're talking about the real vampire, the man himself, Dracula. And this is what movie of Dracula? Because there's a lot of Draculas.
You're right, Mark. I mean, there's like over 200 Draculas. This is Francis Ford Coppola's 1992 I'm sorry.
You said, I thought it was
Francis.
Bram. No, hold on a second.
Bram Stoker is the author of Dracula, the old book from the 1800s. Francis Ford Coppola is the director. Now, Francis Ford Coppola, the reason why that's important, he's the dude who made The Godfather. Like, this is a serious director. And as I allude to in the intro, you know, sometimes we get lucky. We've talked about this before. Sometimes we get lucky where in the horror genre, when a serious director decides, like, hey, I want to make a horror movie. You know, Steven Spielberg with Jaws, Stanley Kubrick with The Shining. You know, there's countless examples of horror. I mean, John Landis with American Werewolf in London. And this is just another great example. But that's why it's so over the top. That's why there's so many great actors on board. Fucking Anthony Hopkins, dude, Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, dude, fucking Tom Waits is in this. He is the fella.
Even Gary Elwes, who's there's a lot of people that you see in this movie, and they have that curse. Mm-hmm. With an actor, so once you see him in one movie, that's what you think of when you see them. So when he came in with his mustache, I'm just thinking of the Men in Tights, the Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Which fella are you talking about?
Gary Elwes. He is
that
Arthur.
The dude from The Princess Bride?
Yeah. Robin Hood Men in Tights. Never seen it?
No, I'm talking about The Princess Bride.
Oh. Yeah, he's the same guy. You've never seen Robin
Carrie
Hood. You've never seen
Carrie Elwes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, did I not say it right?
You might have said Gary.
I said Elwes.
I
Is it Carrie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Carrie. Okay, my eyesight is not very good in front of my list here, but yes, Carrie Elwes.
Yes.
Saw him in there.
Yeah, he was in The Princess Bride.
Yes, he was also in Robin Hood Men in Tights. What I just said to you.
Yeah.
You look at me like you've never seen that movie.
I have seen that movie.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle's in that movie.
Okay, all right, now we're on the same page here. But anyway, yeah, superstar cast. I love the fact that when you said serious directors go in to make horror movies and we get blessed and we get actual like motion pictures and first time seeing this movie, great movie.
Yeah, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I also just wanted to throw in there, I've read the Dracula book. I've also listened to it. And the thing with this movie is that it is very close to the book. Like, very close. Sometimes verbatim. I mean, that's what he wanted to go for, is just how the book was. And it's cool when people can take an old book and make it like in a modern way where you can keep up and understand what the hell's going on. And it has a book feel to it, a great like fantasy arc to it. Even, I guess we should just give the synopsis so we don't confuse people, but it's kind of like Batman. Like, if you don't know the story of Batman's parents getting killed, like, that's just a classic story that everyone knows. But Dracula, really quick, if you don't know the story, Dracula hires, like, a lawyer, like a financial lawyer, Jonathan Harker, and they haven't met, but he hires him to come help him buy properties in London. Dracula wants to buy properties in London. Obviously, Jonathan doesn't know he's like Dracula vampire. He's just a dude Dracula. So he goes out to this dude's house to meet him, and then he stays for a few days, and then he starts to realize like he's become a prisoner. Dracula finds out that his girl looks just like his girl from the past, so he falls in love with her, and he like puts a trance on her, so she falls in love with him. And really, he just starts terrorizing these two's life because he really wants his girl. And he doesn't succeed. He almost does, but, they call Van Helsing at the end to help take down Dracula, which is just a classic tale that everybody's kind of familiar with. And fucking Anthony Hopkins, not only does he play, like, because in the very beginning it shows, because Dracula is somewhat of a real tale, a real story of a real guy. The Vlad the Impaler, Vlad the Third, and he was a fighter for Christ, taking down the Turks, and he was a Dracul, Order of the Dragon. I mean, some Game of Thrones shit, but that's really how it was. And he was known for fucking people up and leaving them impaled on spikes to bring them to God.
Yeah,
so,
whatever it takes.
Right, so there's some truth in the story, so I really like that. But at the beginning, the dad, the father of Dracula, because Dracula is the son of, but Dracula is the father, technically, and old-timey shit. And he was played by Anthony Hopkins, but he shows up later as Van Helsing, Anthony Hopkins. And anytime you have him, bro, like, you're good.
Oh, yeah, he's my favorite. I've always liked Van Helsing as my favorite character of the Dracula story, but Anthony Hopkins is definitely my favorite Van Helsing. For sure. Kills the role.
He does, dude. Oh, damn, I was really close to the mic. Sorry. He really does. The two of the best, I think, are him and Peter Cushing. I think those two just fucking nail it. They're just really good. And I really like the Van Helsing movie. That was fun, but this is the most serious Dracula movie. And I'm not going to lie to you. In the book, the most boring fucking parts are when the broads are talking to each other. And, like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but, like, in 2022, if two girls are talking about, like, boys, boys, I don't want to listen to that shit. I don't care, okay? And I didn't care about it then. And in the book, there's, like, letters between them. And it's, like, for me, it's like a better book when I'm not like reading those parts until later when Lucy starts to get, when she gets fucked up by Dracula and she's starting to become a vampire. Then at that point, it's fun. to read the exchanges between the two ladies. But at the beginning, bro, like, it's really slow. There are some really boring letters.
Well, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's the same way when two dudes talk about football or
Sure.
just guy stuff. It goes both ways.
Sure, dude.
It goes both ways here. But
Sure, but those parts are rough for me in the book. But what I was going to say in the movie, it just feels a little more engaging than the book part of it, because it's like, for some reason when I'm reading that, it's just like...
Well, I'm sure in the book it's longer too. In
Yes.
the movie, they shorten it up. You know, you got to move it along.
Now, you said you saw this for for the first time. What are some parts that are sticking out to you? What are some parts that you liked? What's so it's kind of fresh on your brain probably. What are you thinking about? What was pretty sick to you? What did you enjoy?
I enjoyed a lot of it. The first part I really liked was the first meeting of Dracula and Keanu Reeves. What's his name?
Jonathan Harker.
Jonathan Harker, sorry. I like their first meeting. I like when he first discovers his girl's picture and then his shadow is just behind him, like choking him. That was really cool. I did enjoy Anthony Hopkins' Van Helsing. And all of his scenes were good. I liked them hunting Dracula. I liked, pretty much it was a very enjoyable movie. Nothing really made me crack up like it usually does in horror movies. Like, I don't remember an exact part that made me just roll on the floor laughing.
I don't know what part probably did.
Well, remind me of it.
So at the end, Van Helsing shows up and he goes to fuck everybody up. But, what does Dracula have on his side? What's one of his people that he has on his side? His 3 brides, that try to seduce you.
Yeah.
And he, makes this ring of fire. And he's like, "Stay back, you whores of Satan!"
I forgot about that part.
Whores of Satan. I don't know. Just throw that one at the wife. You whore of Satan. Get out of here. I'm trying to watch football.
Just make a circle in the living room when you're watching football. She comes in saying, just yell that at her.
That reminds me of Anchorman. He's like, "Scorpion woman."
Wait for me, devil woman.
Yeah, exactly. So that part was kind of funny. Now, I did mention in the intro, but it needs to be mentioned here. This got 3 Academy Awards, bro. 3. One for the makeup, one for the sound, and I forget the other one was. Maybe story or screenplay. I don't know what it was, but...
Well, it was very good. It was a little long.
For sure.
There was a part where I thought the movie ended and there was another 20 minutes. But it still kept me engaged. It still kept, if this is the Dracula story, I think this is the one to watch. First, at least.
Same. Honestly, the makeup is sick in this.
Yeah.
Because he turns into it's very much like the book, because he kind of turns into a werewolf, but it's like a bat werewolf thing. It's almost like if you were to take a bat, enlarge him, but take his wings away.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I know it sounds weird, but it almost looks like a werewolf. But he's got and he does transform into a wolf too. He has a wolf around him. He can really transform into whatever, like a mist. I mean, he's really got some creepy entity elements to him.
Yeah, he does.
I really liked the makeup work. I liked towards the end when he was hanging from the ceiling. He looked like a fucking gargoyle or something. So cool. I like the head slicing off. That's a lot of fun too. Lucy got her head sliced off. That was fun.
I like when Van Helsing and them go to the house. I forget what it was, but I think they just discovered on... No, it was right where Keanu Reeves' character Parker says, "I know where the bastard lives." So Van Helsing gets all excited because he's been hunting, looking for, the real Dracula forever. So he gets there and some guy's standing outside with a gun. He's like, "Hurry up, we gotta go kill him. But first, not on an empty stomach." He's all excited. But they just discovered where he is. But first I gotta go eat something. He's all killing me with that. But yeah, this is definitely a movie that you gotta watch when there aren't really kids around that can hear the sound, because this kind of sounds like a porno at some point.
I know. I started watching this with my 12-year-old son, and I was like, "Oh, what am I doing, bro?"
I know, like this is one of them horny movies, isn't it? But
Oh yeah,
but it
girls
stays true.
definitely
You know,
are
very
flicking bean.
very seductive. That's how vampires usually are. So I mean, there's no sex scenes really, but there is some like orgasmic noises from girls, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's something like that, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, they start to get to going. What's fun about it, what's really fun, is Dracula, you get to see him in many different elements. He's not just Dracula in a robe. He's like seductive human form Dracula. He's like old warrior style Dracula. He's like creepy gargoyle Dracula. He's like old man powdered wig Dracula, fucking werewolf bat Dracula. Like there's so many different ones. It's like really fucking cool to me that they went that far. And it is a long, complex story to tell, but I feel like they conquered that well. Like somebody who hasn't read that book, if you watch that movie, you could totally bullshit somebody that you read the book. Like I'm not fucking with you. Like you really could. That's just, it's a classic tale, man. It really is. It's been imitated a few times. Even Nosferatu, like, kind of stole the premise, and they got sued for it by the Bram Stoker's wife, because he had died at that point. But a lot of people have interpreted this story. Like you said, this is probably the tippy top, the best. I don't know why, we do get blessed with big directors to step in and make these. It's like I said in the intro, like we didn't deserve this movie, but like I'm so happy that we got it, because like I'm happy with Sleepaway Camp 2. Like movies that are like inherently shit, but they're my kind of shit. It's something I like. So when somebody's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make some big like $40 million budget horror movie for you. Go real serious. Get all these A-list actors." You're like, fuck, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks.
It's a small breath of fresh air. It's something different, It's something step out of your wheelhouse, but it's always good. It's always good.
I'm gonna say something else too. Now, some people criticize Keanu Reeves for this movie because they say that his acting's bad. Now,
that's just a joke. That's like people saying Nickelback sucks when they're selling out arenas.
No, it's it's very specific with this movie. Now, I will say he doesn't have the best British accent, but the role of Jonathan Harker is to be naive and kind of dumb. Like he's got a good job, but he's kind of simple and naive. Like that's the whole position. Also, sometimes people will say and somebody doesn't do a great job in a role, but not everyone is fucking well-spoken in life. Like, not everyone is well-spoken. You need people who aren't. Because that's what real life is. Not all your friends are well-spoken. You need kind of like the awkward, silent type. You need the weird people as well. That's a believable fucking character to me. A lot of people are watching that new Jeffrey Dahmer thing. That's because the dude's crushing the role as like an awkward fucking guy. Like you need to portray that more in movies. And I think Keanu Reeves does that in this movie as like an awkward character who's naive. It's not that he's bad acting. Like that's the character of Jonathan Harker.
I don't know, man. I mean, I didn't mind it at all. I mean, I got lost in the story. Half the time I forgot it was Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it's like saying Anna Faris from Scary Movies, saying like she's a bad actor because like that's a silly character. It's like no, that's a dumb that character is meant to be a dumb girl.
No,
like,
I
that's
think
what that is.
I think everybody fit their characters how they should have.
I
got
agree.
lost in the story. I first saw them, and like I said, I thought of the Men in Tights movie. I thought of Keanu Reeves there. I think of Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal, but then you get a couple scenes later, and then all of a sudden you're into it, and now you know him as, now he's Van Helsing, now he's Parker, now he's, everything else.
Carrie, not only was he in Princess Bride and Robin Hood Men in Tights, He was in Liar Liar. You remember he was like the stepdad, and he was like, "All right, champ, I got you a glove." Like it was.
Yeah, I know. He's a great actor. I think he needs more roles, man. He kills everything he's in.
And the Princess Bride, when Indigo Montoya climbs up the rope, like when he throws him the rope to climb up, and he says, "Why would I throw you the rope if you're only gonna kill me?" You know, that whole exchange is funny. Like,
And Indigo Montoya. I swear, I have a friend that looks just like him.
oh yeah,
Rami, Remy Ma.
you killed my father. Now you must pay.
You try to show somebody that movie and they don't like it, and you just die a little inside.
I know.
How do you not like them? Anyway, you know, I did like the way Dracula moved around the castle when Parker he goes around the castle to explore for the first time, and he looks down there and he just sees him in his long ass robe just crawling. That's real Dracula. That's the real vampire. Okay?
Yeah, dude.
He did all the real vampire movements. You know, he lusts for blood. I loved when he's like helping him shave and being all creepy.
That's because fucking Gary Oldman is a fucking beast.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman is a fucking monster actor. Every movie you see him in, he's different. I mean, that's Commissioner Gordon from the Christian Bale Batman movies. The dude that was putting up the bat signal on the sign.
Yeah.
Like, that, you're telling me that's the same fucking guy? He's always different.
That's hard to do. That is hard to do.
If you guys are looking for some fun entertainment, look at there's like a blooper scene from this movie where Gary Oldman, it gets like not in like a bad dispute with Francis Ford Coppola, but like Francis is like making suggestions and Gary's like just trying to process what he's saying, and it's like very like they're going back and forth, but then like Gary kind of storms off, but he's got that long ass cape, so like one of his assistants has to come behind him and like carry it. It's so funny and dramatic and real. Like it's not. Yeah, dude.
I just pictured that. I don't even need to see it. Just picturing that. Just like, you know what I mean? Like that's the first thing like I saw that long like when they're walking through the hallway when he first gets to the house. First of all, okay. That's why I love horror movies, because they're just so ridiculous. Like, if you were Keanu Reeves, like, the first instance I knew I would be out of the situation is the train ride there. Like, I'm going to, first, just the castle itself. I was like, I ain't going in there.
Dude, even that before, train ride was cool.
Even that train ride was
with
cool.
With the eyes.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, if I got to a place and there's wolves howling everywhere and a carriage comes up and there's just a creepy all-black creature with long nails says, "Get in." He doesn't even say get in. He just points at you and get in. I ain't getting in.
Nope.
No.
Go fuck yourself,
I ain't getting in. No. And if I were so stupid to get in that carriage and go to this castle and meet this dude who's pale as hell, looks like a powdered wig and's got a cape as long as like 3 hallways, I ain't staying in this.
No, dude. I don't know. I might get trapped up in with his wives though, like the Dracula girl.
Yeah,
wives.
that would happen.
Mm-hmm. You're just like, fuck, you girls got me. Damn it. You got me. Yeah. You got me.
Well, once they got you, I mean, they got you. You know what I mean? They start draining your blood and made him weak. And I like how they were talking about like draining him and making him weak, but he eventually escapes and he just falls like 10 stories down into a river.
Yeah.
And then has the strength to get up, swim, walk through the creeks, and find a church. Like, get the fuck out of here, please. Get the fuck out of here, please.
It's not gonna happen.
I know it's unrealistic, but it was pretty funny to watch.
It's not gonna happen, dog. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, but any smart man, like if I was a evil lord of that, I would have girls to do my bidding. They're the best ones to do it.
Dude.
They're the easiest ones to get the job done.
How about when, like, Jonathan is in that little sex orgy with those girls, like, feeding frenzy, which, you know, there's people that'd pay for that.
Yeah.
Anyways, once he kind of comes to, because Dracula gets pissed. He's like, bitches, I didn't say y'all could feed on him. Like, that was the energy he came in with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, shunned him. And then he gave him a baby to eat. Like, you remember that? Like,
yeah.
He brought in a baby.
Jonathan's like, that fucking face he makes and that laugh, that... Dude, that is so creepy. He crushed it, dude. That looks so cool.
It does.
Like,
I love it. Nothing beats the real when you get a real portrayal of a vampire, man. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. That's how you should know vampires. That's what they are.
yeah,
Perfect
dude.
depiction of it. Vampires aren't cool. Like, it's not cool. Like, it's cool to watch, obviously, but like they're not cool.
And he was in pain, like, at parts. So, like, I'm glad that he illustrated that, too. Like, he didn't want to be seen in his beast form to, like, Mina because he, like, had such a crush on her. Like, he wanted to only be seen, like, as handsome and shit. He didn't really want to reveal himself in beast form.
Yeah, it's perfect because it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, you don't know whether to be an enemy, hate Dracula for what he's doing or feel sorry for him. Because he's trying to fulfill his love for 4 centuries, and he finally found someone that looks dead on who he used to love. But at the same time, you're like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, that's a girl who's supposed to be married. And at the same time, it's a very weird. You don't know which way to go. You feel both sides of the sword here. You don't know which one to pick.
Poor Dracula.
Yeah, I know. If your girl was in that situation, remember it's towards the end of the movie where Parker's got a gun to her, and she goes, "Will you do Harker, whatever. Sorry, Harker has got a gun to his once fiance who has now become in love with Dracula. She goes, "Would you do the same to me once I turn?" And he goes, "No, I can't do it." Would you do it?
Look, here's the deal.
Would you do it?
Here's the deal. Dracula, let's have a sit down. Let's have a little powwow. Cut all the shit. Like, all right, I don't want to do the nightmares and shit, bro. I smoke a lot of weed, bud. We're going to need to get down to brass tacks here. Make us both fucking vampires, okay? We can be swingers, like, whatever. Like, I'm not banging you, dog, but, like, we can bang chicks and shit. Like, whatever. Like, if that's what I got to do, she's got to bang to be in the circle. But, like, we get, we get to live forever. All right, whatever. Like, that's a fucking win-win. Like, I still get to bang her, right? Like, that's cool. Like, that, like, we're all in here. Like, we're all, like, that's cool, dog. Like, whatever. Sharing is caring. We all need to have fun in life. And I'm the kind of guy that if I get to be a vampire for the rest of my life, dog, like, whatever. I'll be clapping vampire cheeks, like, because I imagine she might get in, like, one of those kind of, like, situations with the bride. Maybe I might have a situation like that of my own. I can get 3, she'll be one of those. And, like, just sometimes they might catch people in their spider webs and do their thing. Whatever, they're doing their thing. They're having fun.
Yeah.
It's ladies' night. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not asking questions. But what I know is I'm having fun, too. We're all having a blast. We're vampires, dog. That's the culture. That's what, vampire culture is. We're drinking blood wine.
Well,
we can either
good,
be
man.
like fancy aristocrats, or we could be like Blade and we're Raven. Like, either way, dog, like, it all seems cool. And, like, it seems like a cool scene, like, where everybody's just cool with that kind of stuff. So if we were going through it, I would just go to him, like, cut the shit, dog. What's happening? And then at that point, if we wanted to kill him, I feel like his guard would be dropped. And, like, we can either kill him or we could stay in this life. But either way, we'd have options. I think we need to think it over as a couple. We need to talk about this. We clapping vampire cheeks for eternity, or are we gonna kill this guy? I don't know.
That's a very different answer than what my answer would be. No, I'd kill her right there. I'd kill them both. I roll with Van Helsing, dog. You ain't taking my soul.
That's true. I like
Besides,
that.
you fucking cheated on me. You rather let's give it this. I don't care if it's a trance or not. All right, what you did was you went and you cheated on me with a undead hell-raising creature who you have to die just to be with. So you rather die and be with this motherfucker than be with me. So fuck you both.
I think he
I'm killing them
assaulted
both.
her. I think he assaulted her. Like, she just, like, it's some crazy, like, I don't think she cares about him. I think it is all trance, and I think
It don't matter. It's too far gone.
She was so, well, yeah, it's true. That's
It's too
true.
far gone. But in that situation though, it's too far gone. Like you're both vampires. Like
But Jonathan Harker was a little bitch, dog.
I know he was.
This little dude was raised up to go to college to be a bro. I was not raised for that. I was raised to scratch lottery tickets and smoke cigarettes, okay, and watch horror movies. And I am aware of these situations. So if it's presented to me, I know the vampire world, dog. Okay, you know what's going on. Like I said, you're an educated horror movie goer. If you saw some shit like that go down with the hand, you're like, I'm not going up to the vampire castle. Are you fucking high? Are you nuts? Because you know better. Like, you know what's going on. We've got insight. This dude's like, oh, what's happening? Oh, no. I feel weaker. Yeah, dog. No. We're cutting this shit out. Hey, cut out my dreams, all right?
I roll with Jesus, homie.
Yeah, that is true, though. I do like that.
I'm telling you.
I do like that.
I don't care. Look, I don't know if your soul is real or not, but I ain't fucking giving it up just in case. Just in case, playing it safe, I'm killing both them vampires. I'd rather be a Van Helsing than a vampire.
All right, yeah, you got a point.
I'm sorry. Van Helsing is cooler to me than the vampires are. Now, the vampires are cool. I enjoy the vampires. But if I had to pick one, I'm rolling as a Van Helsing.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And if my bitch becomes a vampire, okay, if my girl, my woman, my broad becomes a vampire, gone.
Sorry.
You're
you gotta
gone.
die.
I'm sorry.
That's
You're
true.
Gone. You're
That's
gone.
true.
You're gone. You're done.
That's true.
You're over. It's curtains for you. Okay?
Okay.
I might get a tanning light and just shine it on her.
Like they did in Blade to that big fat one?
Yeah.
You like burnt up all crispy?
Just buy a tanning bed and just throw her in there.
Yeah.
I would find fun ways to kill vampires. I would get more joy out of killing vampires than I would killing people as a vampire.
What happens you wake up a vampire? All right. You just wake up. Let's just say she turned you, you know?
Right.
She became one. She's like, hey, you were
Yeah.
sleeping and I came in. You're a vampire now and there's nothing you can do.
Dude.
And you just accept your reality. Would you, let's just say your soul is still intact.
Yes.
Okay. And you're saying, I want to go out and I don't want to be fucked up. I'm not going to be dumb like Twilight and, you know, eating fucking cows and deers and shit. That's fucking lame. So what you're going to do, I think this is what I would do. I'm looking for bad people. Like pedos and weird people. Like I want to rid the world of like bad people. I want to be the baddest thing on the world, if that makes sense. Like I want to be the highest on the food chain, and
Yeah.
like those little dumbass people that are messing with people, beating women and kids, like just those kind of people.
That's
Terrorist.
a good idea. I would want to be the last vampire left. I would be a vampire that kills vampires. Get some points upstairs. Also,
Okay.
more blood for me. And then I like your bad people idea. You'd be like a vigilante,
Yeah.
but a vampire. And I want to be the only vampire left, though.
Well, Blade was a good vampire.
That's what I'm saying. I'd be a good vampire. I feel better about my soul. Anyway, that's great, very interesting. But we need to learn more things about this movie.
Oh, education's important.
Bleh. Welcome to the What Do You Know here. This is a segment here where we're here to tell you something that you may or may not know about this movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula 1992, if you're paying attention. And if you're not paying attention, now you know. Now, if this is your first time here, we're going to tell you how it's going to go. We're going to tell you things we know about this movie. Now, you may know what we know, you may not know what we know. But if you know what we know, you're going to have a we-know-gasm. But if you don't know what you know, you're going to have a more intense we-know-gasm. And everybody's going to sleep a little bit easier with the relaxation of your body from your brain of these facts. Now, why don't you tell me something that you may or may not know about this movie?
Okay.
I'm looking.
Let's talk about makeup here.
I'm ready to talk about makeup here.
This movie has a lot of makeup in it.
Foundation.
Yes. And apparently, Gary Oldman, he took a lot of responsibility into this role as Dracula. So he got really close with the makeup guy, the special effects guy. And they got together and they really started ramping up the ideas. And he kind of learned, he later hated some of the ideas. He didn't really like the bat creature that much that we were referring to, the bat wolf creature. And I guess there was a time where he had to be cut out because he got super claustrophobic. And then there was also a time he had to go to the hospital because he had burns on his body because there was a reaction to the suit. So he got a little overzealous, but I'm kind of happy he did because he went over the top and I enjoyed that. So yeah, that's a little fact I got there for you.
Sounds pretty rough.
Gary Oldman put himself through the fucking ringer to make it there.
Hey, at least you got paid for it, pal. Okay.
Yeah. What do you
I'd
got?
go through the ringer if I made that kind of money. Make this movie Dracula.
Yeah. What kind of facts you got?
I got a fact here. Okay, so this movie. Okay, there's a lot of special effects in it.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, when you think special effects, especially these days, computers, CGI is the way to go.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's how they do it nowadays.
That's how they do it now. That's, but now that's the 1992. CGI was there. Special effects were there. All of the effects in this movie were practical effects.
I like that.
Means real life effects, like no computers, no CGI. It was all done with the tricks of the cameras, and you can do a lot of that. I'm telling you. Look and listen. If you ever got free internet time in your time here, which a lot of people do, look up how practical effects are done, how things are done. It's really fucking cool to see. There's a lot that goes into it. And if this movie was all practical effects, a lot of hard work and a lot of hours went into this movie. So you'd probably appreciate it a little bit more if you saw how some of these practical effects are done. Because practical effects are a lot more harder than CGI, let's be honest here. And sometimes they look a lot better, in my opinion.
They always look better, in my opinion.
Yes.
They always look better.
Don't ever disrespect me looking like alfalfa.
Alfalfa.
Well, look at that. That's some great facts here.
Now let me tell you something else I know.
You got another fact?
You said you liked the Van Helsing character.
I do like the Van Helsing character.
Well, Anthony Hopkins improv most of that role.
What?
Most of those lines he improved. He crushed it. He just understood the assignment. He knew Dracula and Van Helsing.
That is one of my favorite men in the world.
He's fucking such a good actor.
You improved all that shit, dude. I wish I could hire him for my birthday or something.
Hannibal Lecter.
Man's a national treasure. Man should, be cherished.
Yeah.
He should be, Congratulations to him. That's interesting. I did not know that. I didn't know that at all.
Sir Anthony Hopkins.
What a great man.
Yes.
What a great man. Do you know any more facts about this movie?
No, that's it. That's it.
Okay, that's good. So we're gonna go now.
Mr. Ozark Mark.
Hello.
Now, I think, me personally, Winona Ryder, she would get it, bro. Like Beetlejuice, Dracula. There's certain ladies that delve into the horror world, and I think that she's kind of recognized as that. I think she's pretty hot. Do you agree? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not alone on that. All right, now she's in Stranger Things, and now she's still hot, doing her thing.
Yeah.
All these years later, doing
she's
creepy shit.
She's on the same level as Marissa Tomei.
Yeah. Well, look here. Yeah, Winona, if you're listening to our show, which I'm sure you are, I'm sure you are, because what else is better to do with your time than listen to the Sloppy Horror Podcast? I just want you to know, from Handsome Young Men, you'd still fucking get it, all right? You'd still fucking get it because of all the stuff you put down for the horror world, and I just think that needs to be said, okay?
Start doing conventions.
Yeah, start doing conventions, and we can, break you off some of that long, young dick. while you're in our town. All right? You can go back home. You don't have to tell anybody. All right?
I like to do it with the mask on.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. You know, whatever you're into. I mean, you did fucking Beetlejuice, all right? You gave me weird feelings when I was a young man.
Beetlejuice.
All right, yeah.
He didn't show up. What the fuck?
I think that was for educational purposes, and people needed to hear that.
What is your favorite part of this movie? Did you tell me that already? I don't think you did.
Mine is definitely the dinner scene. Like when Jonathan first arrives.
That is a great scene. I enjoyed that one too.
Gary Oldman's fucking acting is so superb. Like he really crushes that because obviously, like I said, the movie starts off at the beginning where Dracula is like a real guy. He's like Vlad the Impaler, somebody killing people in the Crusades. Constantinople, or however the fuck you say it, but taking people out for Jesus, and gets to be known as some gruesome, brutal killer, conqueror. And once he finds out that his girl died, because his girl thought he died, in battle, so she offs herself, and then he comes back to find her dead, and it's like a Romeo and Juliet situation, and he just gets angry and turns against this faith and just drinks the blood of Attila. And when he is at that dinner scene, he's just very serious. He's crushing it. I love how he swings that sword. I love when his whole monologue is just impeccable, dude. It is so good.
It would be so fun to play a role like that. I can see myself getting lost in it. It's so fun.
Did you ever see him in True Romance? True Romance.
No.
You should watch that, right? It's Quentin Tarantino wrote this movie. It's a lot of fun. But Gary Oldman is this like drug dealer pimp guy, and he's like this Creole New Orleans gangster. He's got dreadlocks and like gold teeth, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" Like he's so fucking wild, like so different than what he is in this. I cannot explain. It's like he is like a Christian Bale kind of guy. It's just like every movie, bro, you're just different. A Johnny Depp kind of guy, where it's like you just have that ability to be a whole new human fucking being. Like we're literally unrecognizable. It's literally unrecognizable. Like some of you can tell, like, oh yeah, that's you. That's you. That's the same guy. That's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I didn't put two and two together of he was all these other characters. So I mean, he really did a fantastic job.
Yeah, so, that's serious acting. That's like theater acting.
Yeah. This is a great pick of yours.
I want to pull this picture up of what he looks like in this movie, and you're gonna laugh. Here's a gif of him from True Romance. like you don't look.
Put it up to the camera.
Yeah, he just.
Oh man, that's not even close to what he looked. It's not even. Stop showing me that.
Right.
It's not even close, dude. That's a remarkable talent. I don't think a lot of people really take the time to think about and appreciate, for real.
Yeah, dude.
For real.
And then you're gonna tell me this is the motherfucking same dude in Batman?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. That's hard to do. That's not an easy feat to accomplish. So props to that man. And you should appreciate it every time you watch a film by him.
This is the last one I'm going to do because you're about to be real fucked up.
Okay. Get the fuck out of here.
He played Winston Churchill.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's unheard of. Stop it.
That's him.
That's insane.
That's him.
That is insane.
That's bonkers, brother.
Well, I wonder what casting's gonna be on the fucking Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Speaking of which, let's go through the portal. We gotta go. I'm gonna hit the button. You ready?
Wow.
Sloppy Horror rating, baby, yeah! Anyways, welcome to the one and only Sloppy Horror Podcast Rating. This is a one of a kind, foolproof system developed by Christian Ramey, the horror nerd himself. And you can't see him right now is because he is incapacitated at the time if you're watching on YouTube. If you're an audio listener, you could figure out what he just did.
Thanks to my turtle tank.
So that's great. So we are going to rate this movie on a horror movie scale, not a movie in general. So keep that in mind when you hear the score, okay? We discussed last episode that just because it's a lower score doesn't mean it's a bad horror movie. It just means it fits the situation of where you want your horror movie to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So
sometimes you need something mild.
thank you. So
Sometimes you're with grandma. You don't want to watch Hostel with grandma. Maybe your grandma's pretty sick and she likes that. What's up, grandma? All right. Let's get...
So we're gonna do this in a series of 4 categories. 3 of the categories are worth 3 points. Last category is worth 1 point for a total of
10 points altogether.
That is correct. So let's get into the first category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast Rating, and that is casting.
Probably a 1.
Uh-huh.
No, dog, this is 3. This is definitely a 3. I know director is not casting, but like there's a fact that I kind of like left out, but I didn't think it was cool enough fact. The fact is, Winona Ryder, I guess there was a rumor out there that she thought that Francis Ford Coppola hated her. So like this story had been kicking around since the 70s that they wanted to make a serious Dracula movie. And there were many people trying to put a screenplay together, I guess. Or one person was trying to put it together. But they didn't have a director. And once Winona Ryder was attached to it, Francis Ford Coppola stepped up to kind of say, hey, we cool, dog. We ain't got no issues. But at that point, with those two on board, everybody else just kind of, the dominoes fell. So I know he doesn't, and you know, he doesn't count as part of the casting, but all of this together, it's a 3, dude. It's a 3.
Who would have thought it would have been a 3 if you were listening to the entire episode of what we were talking about? So that is a 3 out of 10 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast Rating. Let's get into the second category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast Rating, and that is kills.
Nothing too wild. I mean, there is some cool kills in here. Don't get me wrong. There's some throat slits. There's some bloody situations, but it's done very artistically. Almost like beautiful. Like, I know it sounds weird because like murder is not beautiful, but they make it look that way. Like, even when Dracula gets his throat slit, it's like, it just looks kind of cool because the coloring goes well. Like, it's just beautiful. Like, if you took a still shot of one of those scenes, it's like, even though it's gory, it's just still got like a veneer on it, if you will. It's just beautiful.
What a nice homage.
Yeah, so I think just the way that all the practical effects, because I know not all the practical effects are part of kills, but like I'm scooping this in as far as like a quarter of a point, so to speak, like going in with this. But I really think it could go a 1. I think you can go 1 here, like what, and comfortably. You know, I would honestly say it's like 0.75, but like with the practical effects added, it's just got kind of a very artistic, beautiful kind of kills. Not your typical like gory or painful kills. Not painful to watch, just kind of, wow, those look neat.
No, I mean, they fit with the movie.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, you got an very artistic movie, very high-paid actors, very high-end director, telling a story. You got to have kills in it, but you did it very artistically. So
and
it fits.
I mean, there's quite a few head slices off. There's lots of vampire kills.
Yeah.
I mean, there's quite a few kills. This isn't saying there's no kills.
Yeah.
It's just they're so nice looking.
They're very sophisticated kills. So
I like that, sophisticated.
They are. So, but that deserves a 1. So you got them there. You know, so that is 4 out of 10 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the third and final 3-point category here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is fear.
Look, I feel like any girl that is like in womanhood is just gonna like this movie. Like, it's gonna be like a romance movie. Like, if they're into this kind of shit, like, at all. Like, if they're into vampire movies at all. If they're into any gothic kind of shit at all. But really, there are love undertones. And I know we started off by saying, like, we don't want, like, the Twilight kind of stuff. But this is, like, a different kind of, like, this is, like, my long-lost centuries of love kind of different. You know, and it's true to the book. But I feel like, ladies, this is definitely like a turn-on movie. There's definitely been some beans flicked to this movie.
It's one of
Been
them
some
horny
beans
movies.
flicked to this flick. Yeah, not gonna lie. It's just, and I'm not mad at that.
Some of them want to get banged by a vampire.
For sure, they all
or
do.
a werewolf.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're weird. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Do your thing, ladies. It's not a big deal. But I don't think it's overly terrifying. Like I said, like a 13-year-old girl, like I'm saying, your prime audience for like horror movies is like, say, like a 16-year-old girl. She can be afraid of movies that aren't necessarily that great or terrifying. But this, I think after like 13, she'd be like, ooh, I like this. This is like kind of like a, like you said, like a spicier romance kind of deal versus
This is like HBO at midnight.
Right. So it's not very scary. It's more of a beautiful story. But I think if, you know, you're maybe going 10 and under, maybe you can get some kids with some creepy elements. But I'm going 0.5 point on fear, just on the young kids.
That's what it is. There's always going to be 0.5 minimum because, again, kids are scared of the dumbest shit. I was scared of the dumbest shit. I know how it's like. That's how it goes. I see if a child, an infant child, sees this movie at some point, there's something in here that's going to scare him. It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
So, that is 4.5 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the final 1-point category for 0.5 point each here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. And that is rewatchability.
It's definitely rewatchable.
It is.
It's not even just for October. I can watch this one all the time. But I didn't dislike the Johnny Depp Sleepy Hollow movie. I don't know why this feels comparable because it's not even the same character kind of shit, but it's just kind of like a dramatic movie in that sense.
It's got the same kind of vibe.
Right. And this is the one I'll kind of throw on versus that. There's lots of renditions of Dracula. And we've been been praising this movie. And Christopher Lee is my favorite Dracula. Like, I love... That's why I said I think this is the smartest and, like, the most serious Dracula movie. Now, the Hammer movies, they're serious, too. Very sophisticated and British in their 50s, 60s kind of way. But this is just over the top serious and done just to a grander scale. Christopher Lee is Dracula to me, but Bela Lugosi, like, he fucking started it. That's some people's answer. I made a TikTok about this, like, who's your favorite Dracula? There's literally no fucking wrong answers. If you have, like, enough passion to have a favorite Dracula, like, you're not wrong. Like, I don't care what you could say the Dracula from Monster Squad. You could be like, that guy crushed it. Like, that's a good answer. Like, I'm not mad at that. Like, so many different renditions of him, and this is just another great, this is the most serious one. I think Gary Oldman, like, nailed the assignment. I hope he took, like, a long vacation after making this movie, because, dog, you fucking deserved it. We didn't deserve, like, such a serious, awesome Dracula horror movie. Christopher Lee's awesome, Bela Lugosi are cool, but these were, like, cheap horror movies. Like, they were not pointed at everyone. This movie was pointed at everyone. Like, this was to bring in the crowds, like, to bring in everyone. Like, yeah, this was a movie targeted for, like, our moms, like, for us, for everyone. Like, everyone's invited. It wasn't just like a oh, did you see there's a new scary movie out? I'm sure you and Christian will go see it. No, it's not like that. It's like, no, this is Francis Ford Coppola, Godfather, bro. Like, everyone's seeing this. I like that it has that appeal, and that's why I picked it, man. I know a lot of people like this movie. It's got a broad reach, so I hope people enjoy like our conversations about it, I do. And if you got more to say about this, you guys let us know in the comments and shit of like if you're in the videos, because I appreciate the conversations. I really do. And this is such a long movie that it's hard. I don't want to miss out any key elements, but there's so many parts in it. But there's a lot of parts. Hey.
Okay, that was a lot. I got to do the graphic here. Okay, so that is 5.5 out of 10 for Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992.
Yeah.
I just had to get the score there.
Oh, okay.
I had to let people know the score, because you went off there for like a minute, which is fine. We have a structure
Can
here.
you
Just gotta make sure I
please-
get the graphic. I just gotta make sure the graphic's there. Okay, now it's gone.
I am a fucking parent. I am a fucking parent, Mark, and you have an obligation, a legality to me, so please hit the music.
I missed you, mister.
Mr. Rollsock. Tell him if they're old enough. How old? To watch that scary stuff. Shit. For the parents who will give up.
All right. Now, Mark, we got to rapid fire this one because, we've been having a fun time chatting. But
Mostly you.
If someone is new to Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992, we need a little bit of a parent's guide here. I know we said it wasn't very scary, but is there any drugs and sex? What's going on? How old can kids be to watch this? Because we're recommending it.
I don't know. What age do you think nowadays? Because I'm talking nowadays. What age? No, but let me finish the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was it was rhetorical.
What age do you think kids watch porno for the first time?
I don't know. I don't
Especially
know.
nowadays because it's so much more convenient. I'm thinking maybe 13. 13's fine because there's not really any heavy sex scenes. There's not heavy drug use. There's nothing very gory or scary about it, but there is some orgasmic sounds to it. Like I said before, I was like, you better be careful that your kids ain't around because they might think you're watching a porno in there or something from some of the noises of this. That's about it.
I started watching it with my 12 and my 4-year-old, and I was like, all right, I'm like, my 4-year-old wasn't watching. She's on the iPad, but my son kind of was, and I was like, buddy, I'm going to turn this off because there's like some titties and stuff.
Yeah,
in it.
that's
And
what I mean.
Like, I don't know. Like,
there's not really heavy sex, but there's like titties and like loud as hell. So just I mean, sex is always the hardest thing when it comes to the age because it's the most awkward fucking thing for some reason.
Yeah.
But 13, you'll be good.
I like that answer.
13, there it is. Now, with just a short time left, Christian Ramey, do you have any hints of what is coming next week?
I don't know, dog. I've got a lot of selections to make here, man. Well,
that's great. We don't know. But if people are listening right now and they're like, I'm out of episodes to watch, where can they go to find more content?
Well, look here, folks.
I want to know.
We do make some more content, and you've made it this far in this show without commercials or any kind of watered-down ads because that just feels like bullshit. Now, if we had some horror-related ads or things that took care of us, that related with us, maybe sure we would do that, but we never want to be something watered down or plugged down. So, what we do is make bonus content and put it up on our Patreon. It's pretty cheap, too. Costs you about a cup of coffee every month, monthly charge. Not too bad. And what you get with that is a weekly episode, some bonus content, not all horror movies. Sometimes we're reading spooky stories. We've been doing that lately, but we're just kind of bullshitting about whatever. And that's a way for us to keep the lights on here, so to speak, in the studio. And we appreciate all of you guys. And you can find those links in our link tree, but it's patreon.com/sloppyhorror. And any kind of help that you guys can do by leaving comments, leaving likes, sharing, letting everybody know Just the simple stuff really goes a long way. And we see all of you guys that do that stuff. We really do appreciate you. And, down here in the studio, you make our lives worthwhile. And that's why we love you. So that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do is go check out the Patreon. Help out Ozark and I. Help us keep this thing going. One by one, we're growing and growing and growing because we have a fun time. But what I want y'all to do is tell us we're in the middle of a season, but, always write in. Tell us what kind of movies you want to see us do. We are very accessible, accessible. Just say, hey, Ozark Mark, I'd really like to hear you talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street 6. And guess what? He probably would. That's the beauty in all of it. We are here to entertain you guys, and we're actually more or less surprised that we do. So thank you. Thank you for checking in every week.
Why did that make me laugh so hard?
Because it's true. And we're very thankful for you guys. The fact that we can entertain you guys, it surprises us, and thank you. So we're humble fellas. We're very simple guys.
Makes me feel all warm and tingling inside.
Remember Major Pain? Major! He's just trying to show you some affection. He's like, make me feel all funny inside. Or what'd he say?
I forget what he said. Dude, that movie made me pee my pants when I was a kid. It was so damn funny. I'm serious.
He ain't happy. Make me feel all funny inside. Major, do you get out and dance? I've been known to tear a little rug.
What you laughing at, fat boy? Find a piece of candy in your pocket.
Dude, I'm about to watch that later.
Oh, dude, that is one of the funniest movies that is on this earth.
It really
is. It is. It's even funnier the second time you watch it. Okay. Well, we're going to get out of here, boys and girls. I'm glad you're here on the road with us to Halloween, so tune in next week because I have no idea what we're going to do. It's going to be a surprise this week because he hasn't picked a movie.
It's narrowed down to a few, but it's like we are getting up here to closer to Halloween.
Well, that's it. We'll see you next week. We love you.